Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gargi Rawat, and just half an hour from now, the Supertech Towers in Noida will be brought down. We'll be going across to our reporters. We'll also be showing you as and when this process begins. As we said, it's just going to take 9 seconds, we're told, to bring down the Supertech Towers. Going across to our reporters as well, but all preparations have been done and the stage is set for the safe demolition of this 100-meter tall structures that will be done, as we said, in just 9 seconds. The demolition firm Edifice Engineering has said over 3,700 kilos of explosives are being used for this. People living around that area in Emerald Court and ATS Village have been evacuated to nearby areas. Even those who are living nearby have been asked to take precautions like wear masks, not open their windows, not sit out on their balconies. This is 9 years after the residents first went to court against Supertech's Twin Towers in Noida. It'll take, as we said, just 9 seconds to demolish it. This is the tallest ever building that will be demolished in the country, and that too inside a residential space. The Greater Noida Expressway will remain shut from 2:15 to 2:45, and there are lots of emergency services that are on standby as the towers will be brought down. In fact, hours before the demolition, the real estate giant Supertech put out a statement in which they claimed there was no deviation from the building plan. In the statement before the towers, that's Apex and Cyan in the Emerald Society are raised, the real estate developer highlighted that there was no deviation from the building plan, and the building plan was made and the building was constructed after making a full payment to the Noida Authority. So that's interesting that they are claiming that it was done according to the plan that they submitted to the Noida Authority, though they go on to say that we respect what the Supreme Court has said. Let's just listen into what Chairman of Supertech Builders had to say.
ट्विन टावर सेक्टर 93 में नोएडा अथॉरिटी द्वारा स्वीकृत नक्शे के अनुसार किया गया है। इसके अंदर किसी तरह का अनियमितता नहीं बरती गई है। चूंकि माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट द्वारा कुछ टेक्निकल ग्राउंड के ऊपर इस बिल्डिंग को तोड़ने का आदेश दिया गया था, उसी के क्रम में एक वर्ल्ड रिनोन्ड एजेंसी एडिफिस इंजीनियरिंग को सेफ डिमोलिशन का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हम लोगों ने अवार्ड किया है और मुझे उम्मीद है कि इसका सेफ डिमोलिशन वो लोग करेंगे।
Let's go across to our reporters Akshay and Vedant join us from Noida, and just a little while from now those two structures are going to go down. And Akshay, well, we have Vedant right now. Vedant, this statement that has come out from Supertech, and they're claiming that they went according to the plans they submitted to the Noida Authority, and that really is, where the focus now is, the corruption in all of this. The fact that these towers came up despite a case that was being fought by those, residents who stayed in the nearby area. So it's this whole middle class versus this sort of nexus between builders and the government authorities.
Gargi, just in half an hour from now, these twin towers will be brought down. But, the latest development, of course, is the statement, as you mentioned, of the Supertech builders, the builders of these two twin towers, who have, of course, hit back in a sense, saying that the Noida Authority, sort of validating the Supreme Court's, what the Supreme Court also said, that the Noida Authority was complicit in the construction of these illegal towers. Towers. They're saying that the Supreme Court order will not affect any other ongoing project, but they've also said that they will, of course, stand by the fact that the entire payment was made to the Noida Authority before the construction of these towers, and they also claim that they did not deviate from the original building plan. So, of course, those are claims that have come from the Supertech builders ahead of this mammoth demolition here in Noida. We also spoke to the commissioner here, who's been monitoring the situation very closely. We are right outside the incident command center where the situation is being monitored. He said that they're all prepared. They're monitoring all the roads, the expressway particularly, and they're making sure that not even a stray dog or nobody at all is there on the roads. And he was also giving briefs to the NDRF personnel who've been recruited here, deployed here particularly for the demolition of these twin towers. So here we are outside the incident command center. The DM is here, the commissioner is here, the deputy commissioner is here, and they're closely monitoring the situation, and the clock is ticking. And just in less than half an hour from now, India's will witness the biggest demolition in its history.
That's right. Akshay, if we can talk about, this battle that the residents have been fighting. It's been a 9-year-long battle, and, it's taken tremendous amount of them remaining on it, because it's not easy to fight big builders, and even the Noida authorities were backing the builders in court. In fact, that's something the Supreme Court even, spoke about, that how the lawyers for the Noida authority sounded like the lawyers for the builders. So it's been a big battle, and, it'll be a shame if, these stars are gone. Yes, it's going to be a huge spectacle. We've been talking about it. But the real story here is the corruption that was involved, and how, middle-class people who thought they're getting their dream homes then realized they're being, fooled out of it, and, just out of the greedy builders building these extra towers and earning more money, etc., etc. So the real lesson here is this builder authority nexus, and it shouldn't reach this stage in which you're asking some 40, story towers to be brought down. And that was the extent of the corruption.
Well, absolutely, Gargi. Right now, we are about 800 meters away from the Twin Towers, as you can see in my background. In about, I can say, 25 minutes, this site will completely change after the demolition happens here. And the Edifice Engineering officials are calling this a waterfall demolition. The building will come down and collapse upon itself. Now, the demolition will start from the basement and will go up, which will first demolish the first layer, then the second layer, and it will go up till the 32 floors on the left-hand side of the building and 29th floor on the right-hand side of the building. Both are the towers of this twin tower project of Supertech. Now, while Supertech is saying that, okay, there was no deviation, etc., that we have been complying by the permission that was given by the Noida Authority, that is the problem. In fact, when the Supertech is saying that they have been, in fact, following the rules that were set up by the Noida authorities back then in 2009, that is where the problem is. In fact, the Supreme Court has termed this construction illegal, and that is for a reason, because the Supreme Court as well as the other courts, for example, the Allahabad High Court, where the matter went first, they had called it a nexus between the Noida Authority officials and the builders. So when the builders are calling this that they were going by the rules of the officials, those officials were, in fact, there was a nexus between the two, and that is the only reason that these towers were allowed to be built. Now, this is a huge structure. It took several months to be built, and the Noida Authority officials who are in charge of stopping any kind of illegal construction, despite the matter being in court, nothing was done to stop this construction. In fact, it is a shame that even when the matter was in court, the construction was happening, and the builders were building, and even at a faster pace, this building was being constructed. Now, all of this is the problem of this nexus that we have been calling out between the builders and the officials, where the officials allow builders to build societies, to sell a dream, and then deceive people. people. And this is what exactly happened to the other societies. For example, the Emerald Supertech Society, that is on the left hand side and on the right hand side. Now those people are not there because they have been evacuated before 7 a.m. today, because there is always a risk of dust going there, debris falling on their buildings. So there was a risk of hazard, and that is why those people are staying. Some have went on a holiday because there is a lot of anxiety. Some have gone to their friends, some have gone to their family members, some have gone to Delhi, some have gone to other parts of Noida, and they all are anxiously waiting for this entire matter to be done away with, this demolition to be done away with, so that they can come back to their home, and in fact are hoping that the homes that they bought initially are safe. Now the problem is where the area is, where the Twin Towers are located right now, that was sold as that area was supposed to be a garden, a park, and that was for the societies on the left and the right hand side. That was also sold by Supertech. So first Supertech sold flats, saying that we will give you a large an open space garden between the two societies, and when these apartments were sold, the same place, the same piece of land that was to be used as a garden, there only they constructed more flats to earn more profit. This is what the matter was about. This is what the complainants have to say, and that exactly is the reason. Now this building will come down. Many people have been questioning that what about converting this building into a hospital, or for that matter a school, and that is the problem, that the people who are already living in the nearby societies, they had a different dream. They were hoping for a better sort of area to live in, and when these buildings were constructed, this was the fault of the officials who in fact let this building be constructed, and the Supertech builders, that despite them only selling the other flats in the nearby vicinity, they changed the entire plan in the end after selling those flats. Now the question that still remains is that how many people will be held accountable. It's not just fines we are talking about, not just the demolition, but how many people will be brought to justice, because a lot of people have suffered a lot since 2009 the construction started, and what we are talking about is a legal battle of about 9 years that will come to an end in about 20 minutes now. So it's just 20 minutes to the demolition. There will be sirens that will be sounded by the officials. All the area has been cleared. In fact, there are a lot of surveillance happening in the entire area, that there should be nobody in the impact zone. In fact, the cordon area is about 400 meter in the front, and then some 150 to 200 meter on both the sides. The nearest building that is there, it's just 10 meters away. That's on the left hand side, and it has been completely covered with a special fiber that is dust resistant, dust proof, that will in fact save those buildings from the dust that will in fact erupt after the demolition happens. About 3,700 kilograms of explosives are being used. There are about 9,000 drillings that have been done in this building. The structure has been weakened. Everything has been done according to the plan, and now the plan has to be executed at 2:30 p.m. today. All remains to be seen that what will happen then, and everyone is hoping for the plan to be executed, as it has been envisioned by the edifice engineering officials as well as the jet demolition officials, because they have had an experience. They have had executed similar kind of missions and abroad as well. But in India, this is first kind of a mission, and that is why so much curiosity among people. And this is also about sending a message that if the court is saying that such kind of unholy nexus between the builders and corrupt officials is even going as per their agenda, it will not be successful, because the court intervened. It ordered the building to be demolished, and the message that the court wanted to send also, it seems, is that any such kind of an action will not go unreported. Right. It will not be ignored by the officials and by the court.
Right, absolutely, and hope this is a lesson for builders across the country and even authorities across the country who collude with builders, to give a raw deal to, middle-class buyers really, who invest all their money in what they hope is their dream home. We'll also be joined by Dr. Sudhir Krishna, ex-Secretary Urban Development, and Vishal Kumar, Secretary of NEFOWA, that's the Flat Owner Association. But before that, let's just take a look at what the Commissioner of Noida, Alok Singh, had to say about the kind of preparations that have been made ahead of the demolition.
So I'm joined by Commissioner Alok Singh. So thank you very much for speaking to us. tell me, what is your communication plan to execute this, this process, this massive process, India's biggest demolition? Could you just tell us a little bit about that?
See, this entire exclusion zone which we have created around the ground zero, it's completely manned by our communication and CCTV systems. We are getting the live feeds out here in the control room. We have divided this area into 5 sub areas, each headed by a senior rank officer who is a sub-area incident commander, and the incident commander himself is present here. He's coordinating all the efforts, and we are in direct touch both on our wireless system as well as on the CCTVs, and keep taking a stock of the situation. As of now, we are all prepared for the implosion time.
And do you completely trust the expertise of the blasters, the expertise of Edifice, who has been tasked with this, mammoth activity? Do you completely? And what are your concerns? What could be the loopholes?
See, this is an exercise which was conducted by Noida Authority, and I'm sure that they would have done their homework pretty well and done their check of about the engineering expertise of the company. I'm told that this company also did carry out a similar exercise at Kochi and in other places in the world. So I'm sure with the kind of professionalism which Noida Authority has shown in other matters, they would have done their homework well.
And what do you think could be the loopholes potentially?
I don't see any loophole as of now, but yes, one of the buildings is too close to the other structures, and for that we have our exigency plans in readiness, and that's the reason we have deployed some extra teams of NDRF here, which are on the wheels, and they can move in at a very short period in time.
Right. Thanks very much, Commissioner, for joining us.
Now, Dr. Sudhir Krishna, if we talk about, why we've come to this state where you have these 2 towers being brought down, they will cost crores of rupees, people have lost money, and it's costing crores to bring it down, and of course, the concerns about the pollution, etc. But are you, the only big lesson here is I hope this is a message to builders as well as authorities, because so far it seems no one's been held accountable, even in the Noida Authority. And now you have this statement also coming out from Supertech where they say we had all the requisite permissions.
Well, I think it is a message not only for Noida Authority, but all such authorities that are handling real estate development and giving approvals. And I think that one case having gone to Supreme Court should not mean that everybody should be expected to go to Supreme Court. I think the whole system, which is handling approvals of real estate development projects, should gear up to take note of what has gone wrong in this case, so that such mistakes do not get repeated. And because the worst sufferer are individuals, it is just here in this case, the RWA had some courage and strength to fight it out over 9 years. But in many cases, individuals are there, they cannot fight the battle like this. So it is the authorities concerned. They have to now streamline the procedure. Government level also, at state government level particularly, and maybe Government of India can also now step in to streamline the whole thing. I think one lesson is that too many laws are there, and too many laws allow a loophole, because under one law approval was given which seemed all right, but at the same time numerous other laws were violated. So it is a kind of, the situation is created where laws are not integrated. So the authority like Noida Authority have to make their bylaws and regulations which integrate all the laws, so that they do not slip. Here the authorities have slipped, maybe because of the willful default of some officers, or it is possible that some people just got carried away.
Right, so you're being very polite about, the kind of corruption being talked about. These towers are being called the towers of corruption, the 2 towers of corruption. Vishal Kumar, as we've been mentioning, we don't want that every time flat owners should have to approach the Supreme Court or even go to court. These sort of safeguards should be there, and it shouldn't come to this position. And you have to give credit to these residents who actually continue to fight. And, they were promised something, and when they saw that something illegal was happening and not what they were promised, then they had to have a lot of stamina. It's taken them 9 years, and now today here we are in just 10 minutes, a little over 10 minutes from now, the towers are going to come down.
Thanks, Kagi. So we must welcome the decision which came from Supreme Court, and Sudhir sir rightly said, we have many laws in place. Now we'll have to see how we're gonna get it implemented. So if we talk about, the one message which is very strong, very loud and very clear: builders are not above our judiciary system, builders are not above government, and builders are not above authority. Now we have to see how authority can, make rules that such things would not happen. You have just shown the clip of MD of Supertech. They follow all the rules. Authority have passed the, building plan. But how come authority have passed the building plan without keeping the simple bylaws of having a distance of 20 meters between two towers? So there is some loop and holes which needs to be taken care, and that need to be filled. There is a gap. So we can easily say there is system is very corrupt. Now system had to decide themselves how they're gonna do that. So two lessons which I can foresee from here. One thing is very, very important to develop a buyer-builder relationship. And any relationship cannot, withstand at the basis of lies or some kind of fraud or anything
Right,
which is happening as of now.
Right now, we're counting down, to that demolition. So do stay on. I'm also joined by my colleague Vishnu Shom, also here with us. Vishnu, in just a short while from now, we're going to, see the entire process beginning. I think some kind of a siren is going to be sounded, and a lot of, you have the police, you have emergency services, you have the fire brigade there on the spot, and I think there's a lot of apprehension also among the people who are living, nearby about the kind of pollution that's going to rise from this with the dust, etc. So this is something, they've all been moved out as well, but yes, very, very concerning, and something huge that we're going to see just now in a short while from now. But yes, Vishnu, the real story is about the corruption and middle class buyers.
Well, absolutely. And I think the message sent by the Supreme Court is so very important in this entire issue. The fact that the Supreme Court of India has said that, look, these standards have to be maintained in the country. And one way or the other, you cannot have constructions which take place, no matter how expensive it is, if the norms are violated, if the rules are flagrantly violated. And it's one thing for Supertech to actually issue statements and say that, look, our building plans were all fine. But the fact of the matter is that, and we'll share details about how people in the area went to the Supreme Court, pursued it for so many years, basically making the point that, look, our green spaces have been violated. This is not in the works. This is a violation of plans. And therefore, the buildings are being brought down. And they're going to be brought down in exactly 9 minutes from now. So just let's have those images up as well, different angles of the buildings. Let's just move to those pictures for the moment as we just run you through what we are going to be seeing in a little while from now. Supertech's illegal twin towers in Uttar Pradesh's Noida. I'd like to thank both my guests very much for being with us. We'll get reactions in a little while from now, but I just want to talk through what it is that we are seeing right now. So let's get the images of the building as well. Now, Supertech's illegal twin towers in Uttar Pradesh's Noida, which have been in the headlines, are going to be demolished in about 8 minutes from now. Again, can we have the images of the building up? That's really important so that we can just give our viewers an idea of what exactly we are talking about. All preparations have been done. The stage is set for the safe demolition of the 100-meter tall structures that will be demolished in just about 9 seconds. According to the demolition firm Edifice Engineering, over 3.5 tons of explosives are being used to raise the twin towers. Over 5,000 people from Emerald Court and ATS village societies have been evacuated. Now, where exactly are these twin towers? They are along the Noida, Greater Noida Superhighway. It's on the outskirts of Delhi. If you live in South Delhi, then this is a drive of approximately 30 minutes under normal traffic, and it's a fair bit of traffic, 30-35 minutes to get to this area. 5,000 people from Emerald Court and ATS village, which are areas nearby societies, they have been asked to evacuate as the impact of the demolition is likely to be maximum in and around the area. So those are the two buildings, different camera angles that we can actually show you, and in 7 minutes from now it's actually going to come down. Now, while you do see an aircraft flying overhead, we can also tell you that around these buildings there is a no-fly zone which has been established. So there were lots of ideas of helicopters being used or drones being used to film footage. That has not been allowed at all. So we've got a couple of vantage points from where we can actually bring you this demolition. And why is this all happening? Because 9 years after residents first went to court against Supertech's Twin Towers in Noida Sector 93A, it's going to be demolished now in Sector 93A of Noida. Just 9 to 15 seconds. All right, so I'm also joined by my colleague Gargi Rawat, who's been tracking all of this throughout the day. So Gargi, 6 minutes left now. Go ahead.
Yes, 5.5 minutes, Vishnu, and then we're going to see this demolition. In fact, the last time there was, one of the largest demolitions was in 2020 in Kerala, when these 4 buildings were brought down because they were too close to the coastline. At that time also it was a Supreme Court order. And Vishnu, you can see people gathering. It's quite a sight. We know there are a lot of people, even colleagues of ours, sitting on the balcony to watch this demolition. But again, as we've been saying, it's going to be this huge spectacle. It's going to be fascinating to watch it as well. These buildings imploding. It's being described like a waterfall implosion. But at the heart of it, as we've been saying, is a story of, these middle-class residents in this society next door taking on the might of the builders, taking on the might of the Noida authorities, who, frankly, in the court were also siding with the builders throughout till the Supreme Court said nothing doing, and these buildings have to be brought down. A lot of people arguing, saying what a waste in a poor country like ours to bring down these buildings. Why not convert them into a hospital, housing for the poor, etc., etc. But that's not what the residents wanted. This had been promised to them as a green space, as a playground, swimming pool. Yep. And then they see this construction coming up. So I think all in all, it's a very bittersweet sort of, what's going to happen today, because there's a lot of concern about the pollution, the debris. There's 50,000 tons of debris that's going to be there. It's going to take 3 months to clear that out. So it's a long haul process that's going to take place even after those 9 seconds where we'll see the implosion taking place.
Right. Well, this is the tallest ever building that's going to be demolished in India. That also inside a fairly congested residential space. The Greater Noida Expressway will remain shut between 2:15, so that's already started, to 2:45 for the demolition drive. This is an extremely heavy, this is an extremely important super expressway. It connects, for example, Noida and Greater Noida. It links up to the expressway to Agra as well. Just a short distance away from this particular location. So the fact that the superhighway has been blocked at this stage for traffic on both sides of the carriageway gives you an indicator of how everybody wants to ensure that this demolition is carried out safely. Noida police are trying to restrict traffic, keeping the situation overall in mind. But I think, Gargi, let's talk a little bit about the preparation which has gone on. 3.5 tons of explosives which have been placed on all of the floors. One of the buildings more than 30 stories high. It's been over a period of 3 to 4 months. The structures of both of these towers have actually been weakened a little bit. They've been chiseled away. All of the explosives have actually been placed. And when the explosion actually does take place, it's going to be entirely controlled. So it's going to be a waterfall effect, as I've been told. And the buildings are going to descend and come down.
Is what they're saying. The implosion is going to happen inwards. You can see that fabric, Vishnu. It's called some kind of geo fabric that's been put around to, reduce as much as possible the dust. And you and I have covered pollution, and we know particulate matter is a huge concern. Also, the wind speed is something of concern.
Sprinklers also Gargi, smog machines, right, which have been placed into that area. And all of these apartment buildings in the vicinity, they've also been covered up. Let me just go quickly across to Akshay Dongre. Akshay, 3 minutes left. Quickly, as you will, just tell us what's about to happen. Akshay, you're on air.
Well, Vishnu, what we are talking about right now is a waterfall effect as far as the demolition is concerned. So as Gargi was saying, that the building will collapse inwards. That means that the demolition will start from the basement. It will then go up and gradually it will demolish the entire structure. Now, about 3,700 kilograms of explosives have been used, and there have been about 9,000 drillings that have been done to place the explosives that are being used to demolish this building. The biggest threat is to the buildings that are very, very close on the left-hand side. As you can see, there are about the distance between these two buildings is about 10 meters, and that is the biggest concern. The biggest concern right now is the damage to the nearby buildings that can happen. However, the advice engineering
on our screens, and as you can see, 59, 58, 57. Can you hear the siren, Gargi? As yet, it should be coming on any time now.
Right, let's just listen in.
Let's just listen in.
वहाँ पर मौजूद रहेंगे डेमोलिशन के बाद जो ने 110 मीटर बैंक ऑफ लेबनान है केप टाउन में उसको ढाया था और जो मलबा था वो 3 मीटर से बाहर नहीं गया था तो उम्मीद वही है कि मलबा भी 3 मीटर के रेडियस में ही रहे उसके लिए लगभग 20 फीट का गड्ढा किया गया है ताकि जो लगभग 320,000 मलबा है टन वो उसी गड्ढे में आ जाए और 50,000 टन मलबा उसके ऊपर आ जाए तो तैयारियां पूरी हैं एक सेकंड करके हम
the alarm now, the siren now, which has been sounded. Less than 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is this going to be on time? Let's wait and see. At the moment. What is the window, Gargi, until when? 2:45 was when the highway was closed till, right? So between now and 2:45, the sense is it has to happen. But I'm curious to know why it hasn't, because the build-up to this has been extensive. There's not a news network.
Oh, there you can hear it now, Vishnu.
All right, right. So there you have it. The Twin Towers are down. It happened in less than 9 seconds. Incredible dust clouds Vishnu, over there. Gargi,
just a cloud of it over there right now.
And we're going to play out those shots again in a few moments, but it's not quite over because, that dust cloud is huge. All of those residential buildings nearby are completely enveloped in this dust cloud. Now, we did know that dust was going to be a very real factor. We do know that there are sprinklers, smog machines, etc., but it just seemed, Gargi, like a bomb going off. I mean, from overhead, a bomb dropped from an aircraft. In fact, let's just play that out once again.
All right, absolutely incredible to see that, the way it's just come down. And again, a lot of concerns about the air pollution. Vishnu, there were some concerns in the morning about the wind speed. Oh gosh, look at that.
This is the different angle, Gargi.
That's right, and that's why all the people in those nearby buildings were evacuated. Most of them left by yesterday evening and then this morning as well. A lot of emergency services are on standby. Their fire brigades, the police are on standby. Obviously, people asked not to go too close. People in nearby buildings have been asked not to open their windows, not to go out onto the balcony. And so there it is, the towers being brought down, the Supertech towers.
Let's try and get our colleague Akshay Dongre up on the line in a few moments from now. All right, we've got Akshay. Akshay, just, you saw it and you heard it. We can see this incredible dust cloud behind you. Just run us through what you've seen in the last couple of minutes.
Well, we all have been waiting very, very patiently since morning for this particular movement, and now, as the wind is in fact removing the dust from the air, the scenes are now quite visible of the impact of that particular demolition. As you can see, the Twin Towers have completely gone from the picture now. They have in fact all gone down. As we have been talking about this waterfall effect, this is exactly what we saw. The dust right now is mostly concentrated in that area because the wind speed is very, very minimal at this time, but also the impact on the ground that we are talking about. A lot of people not just are watching from their balcony, from their windows, but here it seems some sort of a fest where hundreds and in fact thousands of people are there on the ground, in fact, to witness this particular movement. People have been waiting for this particular movement of demolition, not just in the Supertech Emerald or ATS village, but now you can see the impact. Now we can see that the dust is slowly moving with the wind, and we can now see a huge pile of debris there between the ATS village and Supertech Emerald, and these were the societies where the threat was the maximum because of the proximity to the Twin Tower where the demolition had to take place, and a huge pile of debris is there. However, it will take some time for the edifice engineering officials, for the Noida authorities, as well as the jet demolition people to in fact assess the kind of operation that has been executed, and whether there has been some impact to the nearby areas as well. But right now, what we can show you very clearly is that pile of debris that is going to be about 80,000 tons. And about 50,000 of that, 50,000 ton of that debris is going to level the basements of the Supertech Twin Towers, and about 30,000 ton of debris has to be removed from here. So Vishnu, it will take about 3,000 trips, rather 30,000 trips of trucks to remove debris, and it will take about 3 months for this entire operation to complete. Now we can see all of those sheets that were used to cover the neighboring society, and it has all turned brown because of the dust that has stuck on the fiber that was to prevent any sort of damage, any sort of dust entering into the societies. Certainly there are a lot of people who are anxiously waiting to check whether their homes are there intact, whether their belongings are there intact. But that huge pile of debris is in fact of those Twin Towers we just saw barely 5 minutes back. So Vishnu, finally some sort of sigh of relief the edifice engineering and the jet demolition people can take, because the biggest concern was that when the demolition happens, will it happen successfully, or whether the building will collapse on the right or the left hand side where there are a lot of flats. So about 850 flats were there in these Twin Towers that have been demolished, and now finally people can now take sigh of relief as well, that most of the structures that we can see right now from about 800 meters from where the demolition took place is that most of those structures are standing intact, and the nearest building was barely 10 meters away from where the demolition took place. So now as the dust is dissipating, we can clearly see that huge pile of debris that is there, and that exactly is the second mission for the Noida authority now to in fact remove all that debris in the next 3 months. And right now it's 2:37 p.m. So still the Noida and the Greater Noida Expressway are shut. there is a no-fly zone in Noida right now, and that started at about 2:15 p.m. and will continue till 2:45 p.m. The damage has to be assessed, and only after that the residents of the neighboring areas will be allowed to go. So it was in fact a very, very symbolic event, not just for people who are living in the Supertech Emerald Society or the ATS village, but for a lot of people who have been sold a dream, and then because of the collusion between corrupt officials and builders, they have not been delivered the same.
All right, Akshay. So absolutely incredible that this has gone down. It appears to have gone down reasonably successfully. But I think the point which a lot of very anxious homeowners in that region would want to know is, are their apartments okay? Because the dust cloud is immense, and while there were dust coverings in many of the buildings in the immediate vicinity of these two towers which were brought down, given the magnitude of the dust cloud which we can actually see, it is a matter of concern without any doubt. Yes, there are sprinklers which are available, but let's just have these shots. And there was another top angle image video of what was taking place. Let's try and see if we can pull that up so that you can get an idea of what exactly it is. This one. Let's have that up full screen. The one on the left, yeah. Camera 3, let's have that camera 3 shot up full screen so that we can.
Wind is this side.
Right, and let's try and replay this particular camera 3 video so that I can describe, or our viewers can actually see from the very onset the extent of this dust storm and how exactly it started. So let's have camera 3 queued up to the beginning so that we can have those shots.
House of Cards.
Really wanted to actually take a look at because now you see the dust storm, and let's remove that super so that we can actually see the image of that dust which actually emerges, and it envelops all of the nearby apartments, and this I think is the most lucid image we have had from all of those camera angles of the extent of that dust storm. It's, we've been watching this footage constantly, and it went down at about 2:33 or so, and it's about 2:41 now. But that dust storm, that dust lingering in the air even now is what we've been told, maybe gone down a little bit, but with approximately 50,000 tons of debris on the ground. The extent of the dust over there, huge. And as my colleague Akshay was mentioning a little while earlier on, it's going to take several thousand lorries to come and clear away that debris. It's going to take a couple of months. The entire process of bringing down a building or buildings as tall as this, something that's not been done in India in the past, that's really been a huge challenge. One of the companies doing this was Edifice Engineering. And the engineers involved in this demolition, it's not been easy at all. Engineering a demolition so that there is this waterfall effect which can cause a building to fall in a particular direction. The number of charges, explosives which need to be used, the location of the charges which are placed, several thousand charges were placed on across all of the 30 plus floors of these towers before the event itself was triggered. This is an interesting angle that you can see over there. The idea is to contain the damage to one particular area, but just look at all of those apartments nearby. It's in India, buildings being brought down like this fairly rare. Certainly nothing as tall or as high as these buildings, which is what makes this fairly unique. But even in other parts of the world where buildings in cities are actually brought down, it is often very, very challenging indeed but I dare say that the volume of the dust over here is frightening. But perhaps there was nothing which could really be done to contain that. And I think that's something we really do need to look at in terms of an impact on the ground. How bad is that dust? I do know that residents in those colonies were worried about this, and that some of them are being monitored for any impact that this dust can actually have on their health. Could this not have been done in a manner where dust could have been minimized any further? I'm just, it's an open question. Perhaps the answer to that is no, in which case, was this really the best way for this to have happened? The court ruled that in fact it had to be brought down, because the larger message, and I think it's important that we don't forget about that, is that look, no corruption, no deviation, whatever the norms are, it has to be constructed, or buildings need to be constructed per that, and if it doesn't happen, then you're in trouble, your buildings come down. And so it's a very strong message that the Supreme Court has sent, but I think we also need to look now at the impact of the collapse of this building, particularly from the standpoint of the environment, from the standpoint of dust and the health of residents, the thousands who live in this area, and hopefully the engineers have done this carefully enough to ensure that the structural integrity of the buildings nearby are actually maintained. Let's try and go back to my colleague Akshay Dongre. Akshay, is there, firstly, is the dust still there around you, or is it settling a little bit? But let's just remind our viewers of what it is that we're actually seeing over here. Supertech's illegal twin towers in Uttar Pradesh's Noida. These have been in the headlines for a long time. They've just been demolished at a little after 2:30 p.m. this afternoon. Preparations were done. The stage was set for the safe demolition of the 100-meter tall structures. And the entire process took about 9 seconds, as was expected. It's being done by the demolition firm Edifice Engineering. 3.5 tons of explosives were used to raise the twin towers. Over 5,000 people from Emerald Court and ATS village societies in that vicinity were evacuated earlier on today. I think about 7 a.m. is when they were told to leave their homes. Pets were removed from that area as well, because the worry was the impact of the demolitions, and you can see the impact. Let's go across now to Akshay Dongre. Akshay, is the dust storm still there? Not storm, but is the dust still thick in the air?
Well, Vishnu, the wind has in fact gushed the dust to one direction, and now the things are much more clear. We can see that the debris was supposed to fall inwards. However, some of it has gone on the right hand side as well, from where I'm standing right now. So it seems that certain debris, some amount of debris has fallen on the right hand side towards the ATS village, but it will take the engineers as well as the officials of the Edifice Engineering along with the jet demolition officials to in fact assess the situation, and they can now in some time give in fact a stats of about what exactly has happened and how much time will it take for this particular debris to be removed from here. So this can be called right now a successful operation initially, but it will definitely take some time for the experts to assess the situation, to give us more clarity on the kind of damage
let's have that up
that
full
could
frame,
have happened,
camera 2,
or
let's have that up
has happened,
full frame
because
now, so
some
that we
debris
can take a look
certainly is there
at the debris
on the right hand side from what we can see about 800 meters from that location where the demolition took
half
place.
a second, Akshay. Can we have camera 2 up full screen for a moment? And because this actually shows the debris on the ground. So let's just try and take a look at that. All right, this is an interesting image because you could actually see, firstly, the dust is still there in the air. It is hanging in the air. But what you can see now is the debris of the building. And I think it's interesting what my colleague Akshay Dogre was mentioning, that, and I mean, we can only look at this from afar and we wait for official confirmation, but it appears that a part of the building didn't go straight down as part of that waterfall, that it a little bit went perhaps to the right as well. That said, it could still possibly have fallen in the area by and large, which was cleared for the debris to actually fall. Let's go across to NDTV's Vedant, who also joins us at this stage. Vedant, could you tell us what you saw?
That's right, Vishnu. Of course, India witnessed history as, we witnessed the largest demolition ever in recent memory. And here, of course, we're at the JP flyover and we felt tremors here, of course, as we saw those towers being brought down. And the commissioner here is now telling us that there might be some debris that would have fallen towards the ATS village. The commissioner is saying that they're yet to confirm it, but they're telling us that there are concerns over some debris falling towards the ATS village. And there you can see the officers who monitored this massive demolition inside the incident command center. The commissioner there, of course, telling us that concerns over some of the debris might have fallen towards the ATS village. And here, of course, if I'll just ask my camera person to pan, we can see water sprinklers there constantly, and those water sprinklers immediately after the demolition as well. So here the massive 103-meter tall twin towers being brought down in this massive demolition. And the commissioner also told us that the operation was conducted in less than 9 seconds. So that is, of course, an important development there. So we all witnessed
and this
history
is important,
as
without beyond the history, beyond the bit about history, I think the point that you're talking about is significant, that there appears to be debris which may have fallen on the Society ATS greens. If that is the case, then that's something that needs to be investigated, because, correct me if I'm wrong, that was not the intention, right?
So the commissioner is, they're yet to confirm it, but they're saying that there might be some concern over, some of the debris falling towards the ATS village. But he, of course, says that on the face of it, it seems like a successful operation. But he himself needs to confirm that. He told us that we are all concerned and we are still checking whether the debris has fallen towards the ATS village or not. We'll get you, the update on that. But on the face of it, the commissioner said that it is, the operation was conducted successfully.
So we'll wait and see. And could you just tell us a little bit about how everybody in the area was evacuated early this morning, how the highway has been shut down? Has the highway been opened or is it still shut?
So the highway is still shut. The highway was supposed to be opened after 15 to 20 minutes of the demolition, and the power supply will also be back only after security clearances. So the Noida Expressway highway is still shut, and the residents will also be brought back only after security clearances, only after the dust has settled. And close to, over 5,000 residents have been evacuated. Some of them have gone on vacation. Some of them, of course, have been accommodated in societies in Noida itself. So the residents will be back only after security clearances, and power and water supply also only after security clearances.
And tell us a little bit about how there's been this real sense of these societies coming together, their RWAs working together, residents' welfare associations, to help one another, particularly those from towers which are in the vicinity and therefore most closely affected. Well, let me answer that question. Basically, various societies did come together. There was parking provided for close to 100 vehicles from the buildings which were worst affected or right in the vicinity of the towers which were brought down. So, those towers and in the vicinity, those societies or RWAs in the vicinity helping each other out. A lot of these individuals, a lot of those who are residents of the apartments in the vicinity have their pets. There was care which was taken to ensure that these pet animals were removed well in time. And then at about 7 a.m. this morning, all of them had to evacuate. And there was nobody there, essentially, when these buildings were brought down. Vedant, can you hear me now?
Yeah, Vishnu.
Could you describe to us the process by which everybody was evacuated early this morning?
So I mean, more than 5,000 people were evacuated from buildings here in the close vicinity of these twin towers, particularly ATS Village and Emerald Court, the towers which are in the closest vicinity of the twin towers. So most of them were, here in Noida, roads were barricaded. More than 500 cops were in place. Rescue team professionals were in place. Also, NDRF personnel were brought in, particularly for the evacuation drill, and then subsequently to monitor the expressway in the course of the time in which the demolition had to take place. So now those people are, of course, most of them are on vacation. Some of them are also been accommodated in societies in Noida itself, and they'll be brought back only after security clearances, only after the dust has settled, and so we will get you an update on that as well.
All right, thanks very much, Vedant, for being with us. We'll come back to you and Akshay Dongre in just the next couple of minutes. Raised in 9 seconds, the Supertech towers have been brought down on the orders of the Supreme Court. It is a landmark decision and a very strong message to builders. You deviate, you violate, where you're going to get in trouble. And if it means bringing down buildings, so be it. So those buildings down now, hopefully that lesson will be learnt. Buildings cannot be constructed randomly. They cannot be constructed on the basis of whims and irregularities. And it's one thing for Supertech to assert that the building didn't have any deviations, which is something that they've said in a statement today, but that's essentially misleading. Because the building may not have had deviations, but the fact of the matter is that there's a very strong Supreme Court order saying that its construction was illegal.
हाँ, डाल दिया मैं, तुम दोनों का ही लिख रही हूँ ना। मैं लिख रही हूँ रवि।
रेडी फॉर यू।
निकालिए पीछे निकालिए।
अब जो डेमोलिशन की बात की स्थिति है, सब कुछ अंडर कंट्रोल है।
देखिए, लार्जली जो पूरी एक्सरसाइज है एज पर प्लान्स थी और उसका एग्जीक्यूशन बिल्कुल एज पर प्लान हुआ है। बाकी अभी एक्सपर्ट टीम्स जो है वो मौके पे हैं, वो असेसमेंट कर रहे हैं। हम लोग भी अब उधर ही जा रहे हैं। उनका असेसमेंट के बाद जो है आपको फिर अपडेट देंगे। ये एक्सपर्ट जो मौके पर हैं वही बता पाएंगे। अभी यहाँ से जो अभी तक पता चला है कि लार्जली इट इज एज पर द प्लान्स।
सर, आज ये सक्सेसफुल हो गया, क्या आगे भी ऐसे ही डिमोलाइज किया जाएगा? जो भी भ्रष्ट माफिया होंगे या ऐसे कार्रवाई होगी?
This is a hypothetical question.
अच्छा सर, जो सोसाइटी के लोग हैं वो कब तक आके रह पाएंगे?
नोएडा CEO साहब कुछ बोलना चाह रहे हैं।
ब्लास्ट लार्जली सक्सेसफुल है। बाकी एडिफिस इंजीनियरिंग और जेट डिमोलिशन CTRI की टीम इस वक्त मौके पे है, तो कोई लेफ्ट ओवर एक्सप्लोजिव्स ना हो इसको चेक कर रहे हैं। जो डिमोलिशन वेस्ट था वो सारा लार्जली साइट के अंदर ही है। थोड़ा सा मलबा रोड पे और ATS की वॉल की तरफ गया है। बाकी जो लार्जर डिटेल्स हैं साइट पे चेक हो रहे हैं। डस्ट क्लाउड जैसा हम सभी लोगों ने देखा इमीडिएटली डिसिपिएट हो गया था। हमारी सारी मशीनरी, स्मॉग गन्स, स्वीपिंग मशीन्स, वाटर टैंकर साइट पे ऑपरेशनल हो गई हैं। विद इन हाफ एन आवर जो अंदर का जोन है जो बैरिकेड किया गया था, जैसे ही अंदर से क्लियरेंस आएगी, अंदर की साइट में भी क्लिनजिंग का काम शुरू हो जाएगा। तो लार्जली ऑल इज ओके। बाकी जो डिटेल्स है दे विल बी क्लियर मोर आफ्टर 1.5 घंटे बाद। जो लोग रह रहे हैं उनको देखिए, इसके बाद एक तो क्लीनिंग कराई जाएगी, दूसरा जो गैस की सप्लाई है वो रिस्टोर कराई जाएगी, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कनेक्शन रिस्टोर कराया जाएगा। 6:30 के बाद जो दोनों बिल्डिंग्स हैं उनके रेजिडेंट्स को अंदर आने की परमिशन, दैट हैज ऑलरेडी बीन कम्युनिकेटेड।
Those statements there by the police and by district officials and others very significant, because the officer over there mentioned that the demolition of these buildings was largely successful. There was also mention of the fact that some of the debris has landed towards the side of ATS Greens. That's one of the residential colonies nearby, and that could be problematic if the debris didn't all go exactly where it was meant to. But she did mention that the dust cloud is dissipating at this stage, and that there's going to be an examination of the site to ensure that all of the explosives have actually gone off, and it's only once that takes place that they would be able to clear the area for people to go back to. So that's something that's going to take some time, but it's not 100% success in terms of what it was meant to be. It's by and large a success, but there is some debris which has fallen in an area where it was not expected to. And that's something which edifice needs to be accountable for, and perhaps they would explain why it didn't go off the way they had planned it entirely. But the structure itself has largely been brought down. The broader message of the Supreme Court is something which everybody would have listened to or heard. But whether or not this was an entirely successful engineering effect, or there was a problem which is why, or a miscalculation which is why a part of the debris appears to have fallen on the ATS Green side, which is not something which was expected. That's something which hopefully in the next couple of hours we'll get some clarity about. What is the extent of the debris which fell in a side it was not supposed to? Again, that's something that clarity will emerge in some time from now. The highway between Noida and Greater Noida continues to be shut down for traffic at this stage. That's a major traffic zone between Delhi, and it goes on to Agra as well on the Delhi to Agra super highway. And of course the link between Noida and Greater Noida, very, very important. So let's try and play out that officer's soundbite again, where she explains what exactly has taken place, the mechanisms which have started working, but why there is a sense that some of the debris may not have fallen where it was expected to.
यार नीचे तो कर लो भैया।
मैं लिख रही हूँ रवि एंड शालिनी डूइंग सीबी बाइट, ठीक है?
रेडी फॉर यू।
अब जो डेमोलिशन की बात की स्थिति है, सब कुछ अंडर कंट्रोल है?
देखिए, लार्जली जो पूरी एक्सरसाइज है एज पर प्लान्स थी, और उसका एग्जीक्यूशन बिल्कुल एज पर प्लान हुआ है। बाकी अभी एक्सपर्ट टीम्स जो है वो मौके पे हैं, वो असेसमेंट कर रहे हैं। हम लोग भी अब उधर ही जा रहे हैं। उनका असेसमेंट के बाद जो है आपको फिर अपडेट देंगे।
क्या डेब्रिस सर अंदर तक घुसी है? क्या जो
ये एक्सपर्ट जो मौके पर हैं वही बता पाएंगे। अभी यहाँ से जो अभी तक पता चला है कि लार्जली इट इज एज पर द प्लान्स।
सर आज भाई ये सक्सेसफुल हो गया, क्या आगे भी ऐसे ही डिमोलाइज किया जाएगा? जो भी भ्रष्ट भूमाफिया होंगे या ऐसे कार्रवाई होगी?
This is a hypothetical question.
अच्छा सर, जो सोसाइटी के लोग हैं वो कब तक आके रह पाएंगे?
नोएडा एक मिनट सीईओ सब कुछ बोलना चाह रही
है। ब्लास्ट लार्जली सक्सेसफुल है। बाकी एडिफिस इंजीनियरिंग और जेट डिमोलिशन सीटीआरआई की टीम इस वक्त मौके पे है, तो कोई लेफ्ट ओवर एक्सप्लोजिव्स ना हो इसको चेक कर रहे हैं। जो डिमोलिशन वेस्ट था वो सारा लार्जली साइट के अंदर ही है, थोड़ा सा मलबा रोड पे और एटीएस की वॉल की तरफ गया है। बाकी जो लार्जर डिटेल्स हैं साइट पे चेक हो रहे हैं। डस्ट क्लाउड जैसा हम सभी लोगों ने देखा इमीडिएटली डिसिपिएट हो गया था। हमारी सारी मशीनरी, स्मॉग गन्स, स्वीपिंग मशीन्स, वाटर टैंकर साइट पे ऑपरेशनल हो गई हैं। विद इन हाफ एन आवर जो अंदर का जोन है जो बैरिकेड किया गया था, जैसे ही अंदर से क्लियरेंस आएगी अंदर की साइट में भी क्लिनजिंग का काम शुरू हो जाएगा। तो लार्जली ऑल इज ओके। बाकी जो डिटेल्स हैं दे विल बी क्लियर मोर आफ्टर 1 hour, 1 घंटे बाद। जो लोग रह रहे हैं उनको देखिए, इसके बाद एक तो क्लीनिंग कराई जाएगी, दूसरा जो गैस की सप्लाई है वो रिस्टोर कराई जाएगी, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कनेक्शन रिस्टोर कराया जाएगा। 6:30 के बाद जो दोनों बिल्डिंग्स हैं उनके रेजिडेंट्स को अंदर आने की परमिशन दैट हैज ऑलरेडी बीन कम्प्लीटेड।
थैंक यू।
All right, we'll try and get our correspondents up who would actually witness to this in just a few moments from now. But in case you've just tuned in, the big story that we continue to track is this. The super towers, which have been brought down, the Supertech towers, both of them 30 stories high, the largest ever buildings or the tallest ever buildings to be brought down in India. It's a controlled explosion, a controlled demolition which took place using more than 3,000 charges. But what we are now told and what is now becoming increasingly visible is that some of the debris didn't fall where it was supposed to. It fell somewhat away from that site. So while the tower has in fact come down successfully, it's not been as clean an operation as one would have expected. But again, that isn't to suggest that it's been a failure by no means, but there's no clarity as yet, nothing quantifiable that we know of as yet in terms of how much debris has landed in an area where it was not supposed to land. So that's what we know so far.
जबरदस्त धमाका आपने देखा अभी। अब चंद सेकंड के अंदर ये दोनों ट्विन टावर
हिंदुस्तान समय की पाबंदी नहीं है।
Let's go across to NDTV's Akshay Dogre, who joins us at this stage. Now, Akshay, very important what that police officer, or I beg your pardon, that one of the administration officials was saying that some of the debris may not have fallen where it's supposed to. Do we have any further details on that?
हिंदुस्तान समय की पाबंदी नहीं है।
Inspect the site where the operation has been executed now. And from what we can tell right now, certainly some of the debris has fallen on the right hand side. That is towards the ATS village. And that is what...
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, you're on air, Akshay. Keep talking. All right, sorry, we've got that line. Let's go across to Vedant at this stage. Vedant, any further details on on where exactly this debris fell? Did some of it fall in a place it was not supposed to?
So Vishnu, Ritu Maheshwari, who is the CEO of Noida Authority, as well as Alok Singh, Commissioner Alok Singh, they said that it was largely a successful operation. It was conducted within 9 seconds, and on the face of it, it all went as planned. And they've gone to the location where NDRF personnel are also present. So the first thing they said, the first priority is to make sure that there are no more explosives, that are present or that are charged in the debris. And the second thing that they mentioned is that while it was a largely successful operation, there are fears that some of the debris might have fallen towards the ATS village. However, there's no confirmation on that. These are all speculations, and their fears also need to be allayed only when they go to the location. And as I mentioned, NDRF personnel are also there on the location. Edifice engineers are there on the location, and the first priority is to make sure that no more charged explosives are there in the debris, and it's only after that that they'll be able to confirm whether the debris has indeed fallen towards the ATS village or not. That is a big question right now. But largely, they said that the operation was successful, and we are waiting further details on where exactly the debris has fallen and whether some of it has gone to the ATS village's side.
So, Akshay, go ahead and tell us what you're seeing right now. Has the dust cloud moved away from that area? What is the plan in terms of residents of the buildings nearby getting back to their homes?
Direction, because that is where the wind is blowing as well, and now we can clearly see the impact of that operation that just has now finished. Now it's almost 3:10 p.m. where and this is the time when the edifice engineers would have edifice engineering officials would have started to move towards the site where the demolition took place. As Vedant was saying, that the priority for the Noida Authority along with the edifice engineers and jet demolition remains to find out that whether there are some charged demolition explosives that are still there in the debris that are still to detonate. And the second priority will be to find out and assess the situation right now that is there on the ground. Because as Vedant has been saying that there are reports that the debris may have fallen on towards the ATS village. From here we can show you the visuals that a large block of that building has in fact fallen on the right hand side. In fact, a couple of blocks from where we can see. So I would ask my camera person Aziz Siddiqui to zoom in and show you the impact, because it was supposed to be a waterfall demolition and all of the structure was supposed to collapse on itself, and it was supposed to go down, but some of it certainly has fallen on the right hand side where there is the ATS village. However, those fabrics that were there to protect the buildings from dust, they seem largely intact. However, they have turned brown now because of the dust that there was after the demolition. But the edifice engineers along with jet demolition officials will conduct a press conference as well at about 6 p.m. talking about the operation and how successful it was. But it can be called a largely successful operation because the building that was on the left hand side, that is the Supertech Emerald Society, that is absolutely intact, and that was the closest to the Supertech Twin Towers. However, the debris falling on the right hand side will be a cause of concern, not just for the Noida authorities but the edifice engineering officials as well, Vishnu.
All right, let's just go back to Vedant. And Vedant, from the position that you're in, can you just describe to us what exactly you heard, what exactly you saw? Are there a lot of people in the area nearby?
So a little update for residents of Noida. Ritu Maheshwari mentioned that residents will be allowed back only after security clearances, and power and water supply will be back only after 6:30 p.m. So that's an important update for residents of Noida. More than 5,000 residents who've been evacuated in the morning. So for all of them, it is important to know that as of now, we have no word on whether the dust has indeed settled and when will they be allowed back into in their houses. And as Akshay was also mentioning that he asked his camera person to show in fact also how the debris has fallen on the right hand side. And here of course
a second, Vedant, we're joined at this stage by Aarti Kopula, a member of the Emerald Court Residents Welfare Association and a resident of one of the apartments in this area. Aarti, thanks very much for speaking to us. Has all of the debris come down in the place it was supposed to, or has some of it fallen in an area where it was not supposed to?
No, it has come exactly the way edifice had explained us. The sound was huge, so there was we don't know what internal little damages have come, but doesn't look like anything else.
Sure. Has there been
also,
any internal damage?
That we still have to go in and check, because CBRI is supposed to go in first and then give us the feedback if we can go in. They will give us the info and then we will know.
And ma'am, where are you right now? And could you tell us where other residents of your colony, of your society have moved this morning?
Yeah, we went in three, four places. Like few are there in Parsanath and few are in Silver City.
Right.
And some, like I have come to my sister's place in Delhi.
Ma'am, just so that you know, and I hope, this isn't a matter of concern for anybody, but what the district officials are telling us is that a small part of it may have fallen towards ATS greens. And so it's not entirely clean as one would have hoped. And one would hope that there's no further damage, but that's what they've gone on record to say, that by this evening they'd give an idea. Any thoughts on that?
No, we saw on the TV that ATS, the entire dust cloud went towards ATS and Parsanath and Eldico. And some of my friends from Parsanath who were staying there called me, and I called them also. And they are saying, there was the sound was so horrifying that their mother was alone in the house with a maid. So she started crying, it seems.
No, I can imagine it would be quite frightening. Could you tell us about what has been done in some of the apartment buildings nearby to cover them from the dust? Were all of the buildings covered?
No, the nearby buildings, on both sides which were closest to these towers have been covered. And by edifice, we individually covered a lot of space. Like as an RWA, we covered a lot of greens to save the dust from going into the cement dust, going into our, green area.
Right.
And we were wondering whether it will, damage our greens permanently.
Yeah.
So I've just sent the housekeeping staff to go there now, because I was given the clearance that they can come there now.
Right. That's
so
important
they're
to know.
starting the clearing up process by 4. And we are expecting some help from Noida Authority for clearing up some of the covers, because we want to clear up covers so that, if rain comes, then all the, then it will be difficult, it will get too messy for us to remove those covers later.
And Aarti, just one more, one more point. The larger issue over here about the message being sent by the Supreme Court. Could you tell us how it's been a struggle for many people in this area to ensure that this day arrives, that there is justice?
Yeah, that is for sure. I think this is for the entire country, I guess, not only from the this society, the entire country. I think all builders now onwards will be thinking twice before making something which is illegal, because soon after this hour we got the justice. Lot of AOAs started contacting our president, Mr. Tevatia ji, that can you give us guidance how to tell, because in a lot of places the builders have already done it. So we are hoping now onwards they'll be a little bit scared because the government and the Supreme Court, Honorable Court, everybody supported this. So it shows that we will be in future not seeing so much unauthorized work by the builders who just go and do whatever they want. And the way they have done this, Supertech guy has done with us the structure also. Now they are kind of waking up for our rest of the structure, because the RWA has been putting this forward for many years that the structure was bad and they are supposed to repair, but he would just get away because, they have those contacts. So now we are hoping that soon after this, we have all other columns which they will make strengthen, and then we will have one of the best societies in the neighborhood, because and everybody knows that our RWA has really fought this case. So they can also learn that being united makes a whole lot of difference to people.
Could you tell us about how much of a struggle it's been over the last, 9 odd years for people like you and the RWAs, which ultimately took this battle to the Supreme Court? There must have been occasions when you felt that there was no way in which you'd get justice against a very large builder.
Yeah, you know how they start, no? The builder first they threaten the people who want to come forward. Then they threaten them with multiple ways. so that they don't come forward, and they are told ways how it can be stopped. In fact, just some time back only, Aroraji was still trying to give us some kind of an offer to stop it. But we are happy that the board has stayed together. Everybody has stayed together. Residents came along with us because it's not easy, it's scary. But everybody had that faith in RWA as well as the company who agreed and the Honorable Court that this will be the first instance, because first is always difficult, but this will lead to many, many more, we guess.
Right, and that's great to hear. And we'll Aarti, we'll speak to you in a little while from now. And once there's some clarity, do please tell us about where the debris has fallen, whether all of the buildings are secure, whether there's been the condition of the apartments nearby and the like. We'd love to know from you. Thanks so much, and congratulations on waging this successful battle. A battle which sends a very strong message, as we've been saying over and over again, to builders, that you cannot deviate and just build wherever you want. There's the law of the land. It has to be respected. You don't follow the law of the land, your building comes straight down. Let's go back to Akshay Dongre and my colleague Vedant. Akshay, just, we're getting more footage now from different angles. Do we have Vedant? All right. So let's go across to Vedant. Vedant, give us is there any further update at this stage on on people going back, when they'll go back, that sort of thing?
Here, of course, water sprinklers being taken towards the debris. So that is the latest here. We saw as many as 2 to 3 water tankers being taken towards the debris. And here, the residents who've been evacuated have now been communicated that they can soon come back and occupy their houses here. Plus, other than that, we are also told that the commissioner and the Noida Authority CEO have reached the location. They are assessing whether the debris has indeed fallen towards the ATS village or not, and we will soon have an update on that. We are told that at the location, there, of course, is the Noida CEO, the commissioner, edifice engineers, and other experts as well, to determine whether the operation can be called entirely successful or not. But the update for Noida residents is now they've been communicated by the Noida Authority that they can soon come back.
Oh, they've been told that they can soon come back. So that's very important. Could you just repeat that, Vedant, for the benefit of our viewers, that the all clear has been sounded? Could you just repeat what you've heard?
Right. So, as I was mentioning, the Noida Authority CEO, gave us this piece of information that those residents who've been evacuated, and remember, these are more than 5,000 residents, they've been communicated that they can now come back, and of course, the security clearances have also been communicated to them. And the update on whether the dust has entirely settled or not is yet to be, communicated. And as I mentioned, all these professionals, including edifice engineers, Commissioner Alok Singh, and Noida Authority CEO, are on the ground assessing the situation. And we are told that their major concern is that there shouldn't be any charge.
Easy. अरे blast हो गया, इधर मत करिए अब.
That's it. Otherwise, buildings and all are safe.
Sir, ये आपको हट जाओ.
Right. Right. Let me know the updates.
सर शुरू करें.
अरे ये नहीं, दो माइक लगा रखे, एक तो नीचे कर लो ना. अरे नीचे तो कर दिया.
स्टार्ट करें.
यस रेडी.
सर
जी.
सर अब जो डेमोलिशन की बात की स्थिति है, सब कुछ अंडर कंट्रोल है.
देखिए, लार्जली जो पूरी एक्सरसाइज है एज पर प्लान्स थी, और उसका एग्जीक्यूशन बिल्कुल एज पर प्लान हुआ है. बाकी अभी एक्सपर्ट टीम्स जो है वो मौके पे हैं, वो असेसमेंट कर रहे हैं. हम लोग भी अब उधर ही जा रहे हैं. उनका असेसमेंट के बाद जो है आपको फिर अपडेट देंगे.
क्या डेब्रिस सर अंदर तक घुसी है? क्या आप जो
ये एक्सपर्ट जो मौके पर हैं वही बता पाएंगे. अभी यहाँ से जो अभी तक पता चला है कि लार्जली it is as per the plans.
सर आज जो है ये सक्सेसफुल हो गया क्या आगे भी ऐसे ही डिमोलाइज किया जाएगा जो भी भ्रष्ट भूमाफिया होंगे या ऐसे
ये एक एग्जाम
कार्रवाई होगी
एग्जाम
This is a hypothetical question.
अच्छा सर जो सोसाइटी के लोग हैं वो कब तक आके रह पाएंगे
अरे तो जी नोएडा तो CEO आराम से एक मिनट CEO सब कुछ बोलना चाह रही हैं.
देखिए ब्लास्ट लार्जली सक्सेसफुल है. बाकी एडिफिस इंजीनियरिंग और जेट डिमोलिशन CBRI की टीम इस वक्त मौके पे है, तो कोई लेफ्ट ओवर एक्सप्लोजिव्स ना हो इसको चेक कर रहे हैं. जो डिमोलिशन वेस्ट था वो सारा लार्जली साइट के अंदर ही है. थोड़ा सा मलबा रोड पे और ATS की वॉल की तरफ गया है. बाकी जो लार्जर डिटेल्स हैं साइट पे चेक हो रहे हैं. डस्ट क्लाउड जैसा हम सभी लोगों ने देखा इमीडिएटली डिसिपिएट हो गया था. हमारी सारी मशीनरी, स्मॉग गन्स, स्वीपिंग मशीन्स, वाटर टैंकर साइट पे ऑपरेशनल हो गई हैं. विद इन हाफ एन आवर जो अंदर का जोन है जो बैरिकेड किया गया था, जैसे ही अंदर से क्लियरेंस आएगी अंदर की साइट में भी क्लिनजिंग का काम शुरू हो जाएगा. तो लार्जली ऑल इज ओके. बाकी जो डिटेल्स हैं दे विल बी क्लियर मोर आफ्टर 1 hour, 1 घंटे बाद. जो लोग रह रहे हैं उनको देखिए इसके बाद एक तो क्लीनिंग कराई जाएगी, दूसरा जो गैस की सप्लाई है वो रिस्टोर कराई जाएगी, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कनेक्शन रिस्टोर कराया जाएगा. 6:30 के बाद जो दोनों बिल्डिंग्स हैं उनके रेजिडेंट्स को अंदर आने की परमिशन है. दैट हैज ऑलरेडी बीन कम्युनिकेटेड. थैंक यू.
All right, so the CEO of Noida over there, a couple of important remarks that she made. Firstly, people in the area allowed to go back at 6:30 p.m. Progressively, electricity and gas supply will be reintroduced. But she did mention that perhaps some of the debris fell towards one of the roads in the area and towards one of the colonies, and that would need to be cleared out. So they're getting an assessment of the overall situation. That's what we know so far. The buildings, the Twin Towers, illegally constructed, have in fact been brought down on the basis of an order of the Supreme Court, which found the constructions to be in violation of certain norms. It was a long battle fought by residents in that area, and it's finally resulted in this justice. We'll take a short break, come back with more.